Sunday after Sunday, in Assemblies of God churches across the United States, groups gather to worship. In large church complexes, in small country church buildings, and in schools and industrial buildings. But how do they start? More importantly, why does it matter? In Helotes, Texas, just north of San Antonio, it started with one couple, some partners like you, and one life.
The three areas that we really began to pray and seek God about where we wanted to plant a church. It was Boulder, Austin, and here in Helotes, San Antonio. You know, I've never been a lead pastor. I've never planted a church before. And so I had a really pivotal conversation with Steve Pike, who challenged us on the phone to build a relational network of 1,200 people. What if you went down there and just built relationships with people far away from God? And I thought, all right, if that's how we're gonna do it, let's do it. We began by stretching out this huge roll of butcher paper on our living room wall. So as we were meeting people, we would write down their names right on the wall, and we would lay our hands on that butcher paper and we would pray as a team.
The Van Pays could not go it alone. They needed help. They needed the finances that you could provide.
No way we could have started and launched our church in 6 months after moving this community by ourselves. It took the help of others, and we're so thankful for the Church Multiplication Network that gave a matching grant of $30,000 to go towards our startup costs of buying equipment, trailers. That, with the help of Pastor Rod Loy and First Assembly in North Little Rock, our home church, also contributed very generous to get us going. And without that, we simply could not have had a Sunday morning experience and done church on Sundays without their help.
The power of the Word is life. Life to our souls, but also life to the souls around us. The life of Gateway Fellowship will forever be tied to the life of one man who will never stand at their altar or worship with them on Sunday morning.
As we tried to build a relational network in our community, there was really one story that proved to be catalytic with our team and with our church. It happened one weekday morning at Helotes Elementary School when we were showing up early to pick up our kids for school, and I noticed a man sitting on a bench. We went on a ride together, and it started just a beautiful friendship. In the fall, he had another episode where now he was facing brain surgery, and the doctors discovered that he had a brain tumor. And I called up my friend and I said, Val, I said, I want to pray with you on the phone. I just really would like to do that as a friend. And he responded by saying, I'd rather you not. And he goes, I was reluctant to tell you this earlier, but I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of that. And I asked him, I said, what frightens you most about facing this life-threatening situation? He told about how his wife used to be a woman of faith, but because of his influence, they don't go to church anymore. And I wish to say that he accepted Christ at that moment, but he didn't. He looked at me and said, if I ever make this decision, you're gonna be the first person I call. Well, one time while I was at the hospital, went to go see him, we discovered that he was down below having some CT scans, and there on the table, he had a brain seizure, and he never recovered. 3 days later, he passed away. And I saw Deborah, his wife, and she said, we don't know God. We don't know any other ministers. Would you do his funeral for us? And I said, I would be happy and honored to. And so over the next couple of days, she came to my house and she had a stack full of journals. And she goes, as you prepare the funeral, you may not know a side of Val. And I want you to read these journals, but you have to read this last one. And the second to the last entry shows where he was putting his newfound faith in his Savior. And when I read that, she looked at me and she goes, Val's in heaven. She goes, I didn't realize this until now that he made the decision to come back to God. So at Sunset Funeral Home, 350 people packed into this service. And in the best way, we shared how to know Val is to know his friends, to know his family, but to also now know his faith.
Before Gateway Fellowship even had their first service, they had a funeral. And from that, the influence of Val's life reached beyond that service into the hearts and future of the Van Pays ministry.
Well, you can put your hand together this morning.
On the very first Sunday that we had 41 people from that funeral who were friends and family of Valente Luna showed up. And of those people, we had 28 people accept Christ that day, and there was 14 of those friends and family were connected with Val. And since that Sunday, we have had all but 2 Sundays, friends and family come to know the Lord or come to church. Several of them have been baptized.
On that first Sunday, there were 283 people in attendance. On Easter Sunday, that number rose to 349. Today, the average attendance is 218, all a testament to the power of relationship and the power of God.
I really grieved over my friend who died, who I'd grown to love, and I can remember being home just grieving over my friend who passed away. And I just immersed myself in the Psalms, and I read Psalm 91, 92, 93, and 94, verse 11. It says that God knows the thoughts of man, and at that point, I just had a tremendous amount of peace.
A man who will never stand in the altars of Gateway Fellowship will have a lasting impact on this new church. You may never stand at the altar of the many churches you help us plant through the Assemblies of God Trust and the Church Multiplication Network, but you can have a lasting impact in many. Make the choice today to empower future Pentecostal generations through your membership in the Assemblies of God Trust. The Assemblies of God Trust. Our choice, their future.